What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back. It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical today and stuff. My cat's here too. She's gonna make some noise, I guess. Where you at? Unfortunately, I haven't reset my cat camera, so I don't have that. But she'll probably jump on me at some point. Yeah, we've got some cool stuff to talk about today, chat. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Hope everyone got some good games of Warhammer 40,000s in. Because I didn't get any games in this weekend, and instead I streamed some. So we're going to start off with some shameless plugging. Obviously, if you have not, if you did not see it, if you didn't catch it, I'm going to go to my channel real quick here. I streamed these events. The Portal GT all weekend. We streamed 5 rounds of 40k. It was friggin' cool. I did have some technical problems, and it may require some upgrades to my rig. So if you do enjoy the live stream coverage, I please ask if you want to support the coverage. I have a Patreon, I have channel membership, I have all that stuff. That would be awesome. Otherwise, just watch and share the VODs and everything. And I'll keep doing them. There are a lot of GTs I have scheduled to stream at over the next couple weeks. If I can resolve the problems that I had this weekend, which I don't think really they stifled the coverage a little bit, but not the streaming. So for the most part, going ham down there, girl. Damn, that poor scratching post, dude. It's getting destroyed right now. But I wasn't able to do live commentary for some of the games. Unfortunately, it was the only downside. But I had a good time talking about them. We had some super cool games. The finals was Necrons versus Ynnari, which is super cool. We had a Chaos Knights versus Chaos Demons matchup in there, which was sick, and I'm pretty excited. So the next one we have scheduled is a Webway Games Fall GT. That one is the weekend after this coming weekend, so it's going to be the last weekend of September. And that's going to be the same deal, 5 games of 40k scheduled out. And they do, the Webway Games is a local store that puts on a lot of events and is doing sort of an invitational style tournament. So they've started to run events basically from the start of the year, and are at the end of the year, everyone who has won an event or placed highly enough is going to get invited to an invitational tournament, which may be streamed. They might want to stream it themselves, and I have an invite to it, so I might play, but I don't know, it could be cool. But that means it gets pretty competitive at the Webway Games, which is pretty sweet. So pretty excited. And yeah, what else we got to talk about? Oh, yeah, by the way, everybody, if these streams were live on YouTube this time, which is why they're on the main YouTube channel. Normally, I stream to the replay channel, so I do want to throw a quick shout-out over there because I feel like I always should. YouTube.com/TacticalTortoisetv is the name of the replay channel. If you are not subscribe to there, you should please do that, because that's where all my stream VODs go, and I have a bunch of them scheduled, so we're going to have stream VODs going live all week. And I did just put out a cool Total War Warhammer 3 video that I put together today that I was kind of excited about, and I hope people watch it and it becomes popular, because I have some Total War Warhammer 3 that I streamed that I'd like to cut up into some edited videos, so if you haven't checked those out yet, please do that. All right. I did a bunch of shameless plugging there, chat. That's all. That's it. I swear. We're done. We're done plugging shamelessly. Let's talk about some frickin' Warhammer 40,000s. Because we had some interesting results this weekend. I wasn't entirely sure if I had anything in particular to talk about. And then I noticed, looking through the results, what is this here, chat? A 5-0 Genestealer cult from our good friend, the Genestealer cult Primus extraordinaire himself, Eric Lathuris, who brought them to an X-1 record at WTC. Is that right? Or was he 7-0? I don't remember. But I did do a video about that, about the WTC lists, and talked about his list. And he's back at the TNA Open this weekend, 5-0, won the event with the frickin' Genestealer cults. And I know at the event that I streamed over the weekend, there was another Genestealer cult that ended up at 3-2. They were pretty excited about that, but seems to me like Genestealer cult's on a little bit of a resurgence, which is pretty cool, because they have been pretty what's the word? I guess everybody's been talking about how they're the worst faction in the game, and they are getting some results. There should be a link that pops up on stream occasionally because I put it in the timer, but also here's the link to the website, chat. It's discountgamesinc.com. You can go to the tournament site, and it aggregates tournament results for a whole ton of different games. 40k, Age of Sigmar, some of the Star Wars games, Marvel Crisis Protocol, War Machine Hordes, all that stuff. It pulls top lists from all that. The cool thing about this website, by the way, chat, and I'm not like sponsored by Discount Games at all, but I am. The owner's a friend of mine, which is why I use his website. So full disclosure. But the cool thing about it is that it has a search function, so you can actually search through all of the lists. And so if you want to see like particular units or particular factions or particular players, it's really easy to find them. It doesn't have like every list ever played like BCP does. It just has the top 5 or so from each event that are GT level or higher. But you can search through all of them, which is way easier than the BCP readout. So that's what I have to say about that. I use this website every week though, so you probably, if you've been on a Tactical Tuesday before, you certainly have probably seen it. Anyway, chat. What I want to do is cover Eric Lathuris's games or list last, because I think what will be interesting is to go through his games from the weekend. I don't have a ton of information, and I haven't actually reviewed the games themselves, but I'm sure we can kind of glean some insights as to the power of Genestealer cults by looking through exactly what happened. But we do have a couple other interesting results. Obviously, Tyranids are still sort of dominant right now. Broadsword Wargaming here showing us up with a 2-5-0 Tyranids immediately. Mark Morrow and Daniel McAhern. I think mostly generally just Leviathan good stuff for the most part. Yep, we got a nice Leviathan, Winged Hive Tyrant, Neurothrope, some Gargoyles, Double Warriors, Maleceptor. That's a little bit interesting. Bring the Maleceptor back. No Tyrant Guard? Oh, no, there is that Tyrant Guard. Just kidding. Parasite of Mortrex, Alien Cunning. Very nice. 2 units of Biobors. Or 2 individual Biobors, excuse me. And a Heartbeat. One thing, a discussion we're having on the Discord is that we may see an uptick in Biovore play and Spore Mine generators in general with Leagues of Votan coming out, because one thing that I think the downside of Leagues of Votan is that if they're able to get their land fortress into an annoying position, then they're very difficult to deal with. But Biovores deal mortal wounds, which is already good against Leagues of Votan because they have almost literally no defense against that. And they can physically block the positioning of the land fortress, since you can move over the spore mines, but you can't end within their engagement range as normal, which means a big thing like a land fortress trying to maneuver around terrain is just going to get blocked off by a spore mine unit, unless it advances, in which case it's not shooting its gun, so you're fine with that. And then that can prevent them from getting 2 objectives. The rest of the list besides bikes is relatively small, and you can kill the bikes easily. So if that buys you another turn of like smiting the land fortress out, it might be enough to win you the game. So we'll see how Biovores end up playing out in Tyranid armies. I'm interested. We have a High Fleet Kraken from the other one, Daniel Ahern. Running some Pyrovores, Parasites of Mortrax. 2 Parasites of Mortrax. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, somebody wants 2 Parasites of Mortrax, I guess. 3 units of Raveners. Love it. 1 Biovore. Yeah, Biovores again. The other thing is that I think it depends a lot. The strength of Biovores always depends on the terrain that you're playing in, the terrain format. And in some formats that have especially a lot of small obstructing pieces of terrain, the Biovores get really good because you can put the spore mines like in the middle of those. So where things would try to move over and through them, you can put the spore mine there so they can't complete their movement. And then you got them. 2 Harpies, interesting, heavy venom cannons coming back on the Harpies. I think a lot of people are running the heavy venom cannons right now, especially to answer heavy infantry. One of the things that the website link is already in the chat, everybody, so you can just go there. It should, assuming the chat bot works, which it has been. Unfortunately, the YouTube chat bot is a mess, but it should pop up in chat intermittently, and I'll put it in the description too. All right, it's in the description now too for everybody. So We do see some Ynnari coming out of Broadsword Wargaming as well at 4 and 1. This is a bit of an interesting Ynnari list. One of the most common builds of Ynnari right now is the double flyer build, so Hemlock Wraithfighter plus Void Raven Bomber. That's so that you can use the Storm psychic power on the Wraithfighter so it can explode mortal wounds out. Plus, it's kind of hard to kill because it's aircraft, it's -1 to be hit. You can make it -2, I think, still with lightning fast reactions, and then it's also -1 damage, so it's like sort of tough. The Void Raven Bomber as well can also drop the mortal wounds, so you can kind of explode out like a ton of mortal wounds if you want to. So if your opponent deploys really conservatively, you can just sort of detonate on them and kill a ton of stuff on the first turn or early in the game. We also have an auxiliary detachment with Behareth and then a patrol with Farseer, Incarn, some random dudes, 2 individuals, Warlock Skyrunners, some Hellions, Shroud Runners. So this is very much MSU kind of deal. And then it has this huge Court of the Archon, which I absolutely love. A 272-point Court of the Archon, chat. Could you imagine? We always had like the 180-point Court of the Archon or whatever with 4 Slith, 4 Urgul. But this one's bringing Medusa and Lamians as well into that detachment. An Archon in there. 2 more Warlocks. So we ran 4 Warlocks and a Farseer, 2 Farseers. Holy shit! Is that right? Yeah, 4 Warlocks and 2 Farseers, chat. Everybody hiding behind this Court of the Archon, and then I guess just like piling out all of our support powers and mortal wounds, and then hoping that the aircraft sort of clean up the rest. That's cool. That's a cool list, chat. I don't know how much I like the aircraft lists, to be honest, but I think that the rest of the Ynnari build is pretty strong. I think they're super cool. Loving the Ynnari Resurgence. Despite the Alpha Strike being the strategy, it's valid, but not what you'd play at an LGS. Yeah, I do think that there are other builds of Ynnari that aren't just Alpha Strike oriented, though. I think that you can play... I know there's Webway builds that are kind of popular right now. That like pull a Webway gate and then use it to deliver like avatars and Howling Banshees and stuff like that. And then you always follow it up with the D-Cannon platforms as well. So... and then the Incarn is just like a beat stick, like an absolute, it's just nuts, right? So I think that is a very reasonable build of Ynnari that doesn't rely on the flyers. Because I do think the flyers are a little bit, they kind of go firsty, right? Just Alpha Strike your opponent, shoot him with D-Cannon, shoot him with flyers, hope for the best. I did play against that build at one point. I went second, if I remember correctly. And the Void Raven Bomber did a single mortal wound because it rolled out super duper bad, and it was all downhill from there for my opponent, unfortunately. Smite Club Open, we saw Daniel Olivas with Harlequins. This is bringing it. This is the Twilight list that I think we talked about 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, which is really cool because it's not the normal like light or dark Sadith list that we typically see. But you get the Twilight Fraying Troopmaster, so you get 1 super killy Troopmaster in addition to the Shagarax Rose Troopmaster. And then a big punchy troop. Because these guys get shock assault effectively. So they punch real good in melee once they get in there. And then triple Void Weavers, a bunch of Star Weavers, and we are bringing Webway Gate to pull in that big 10-man unit. Interesting to see. I think that there is play in all different varieties of Harlequins, which I think is super cool. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of exciting that Harlequins are finally kind of branching out from just the lighter dark builds that they normally would take. We have a 5-1 here from Don Husen. Cool to see Don Husen back in the saddle, playing some Chaos, and he's playing Pure Death Guard. So 5-1 with Pure Death Guard. I know a lot of people are down on Death Guard right now, but that Plague Marine upgrade did do a lot for them. Although we should... It is probably important to talk about right now. I think Death Guard got a little bit borked by the FAQ today. So there's the FAQ yesterday I released a video about. If you haven't checked that out, you should check it out because I had a lot to say about that one. Where the extended engagement rule was removed from the core rulebook FAQ. Shouldn't have been in there in the first place. It wasn't a problem to begin with, and it's a stupid fix that was bad and made sort of broke the entirety of the game for 2 months. At least they did the right thing and removed it, but it's kind of the scuttlebutt is that they previously the rules designers did not know that ruin screening, tactic that's been in the game for probably 5 years, was possible. and it was shown to them, and they created a hotfix to change it without thinking about it at all, which is probably the most disheartening sequence of events that you could have for a rules team for a multi-million-dollar tabletop game. Anyway, you know, it is what it is. But there was a new FAQ came out for IAC today that replaced a bunch of the keywords on Forge World models and made them, I believe, unplayable by Thousand Suns or Death Guard. So the normal Chaos Space Marine stuff is right now, I think, borked for those two factions. Hopefully that gets fixed pretty soon. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Any opinion on the Tyranid Magic spoilers? Did they? So I've seen a couple things spoiled for Magic. We can maybe talk about those later in the show. I don't know if anything else got spoiled beyond. I saw the Swarm Lord. I saw the Toxicrin. Pleasant Kenobi did a video about Toxicrins, which is really cool. I think the Swarm Lord seems fucking super sick. I like token play and I like counter play and counter as in like +1/+1 counters in Magic. And so the fact that that's the Tyranid faction is like, yes, thank you, very good. So I don't know if someone could link it in chat, where if they have like an actual preview article on it, then I would love to look at it. Because that's cool. I haven't played a game of Magic the Gathering in probably a year and a half or so, but I would be happy to talk about it. And I also have never played a game of Commander, so but that might change now that there's 40k Commander decks, so that's exciting. So right now I don't have a ton of thoughts on the Tyranids, but I would love to go over them more in depth to answer your question, Jonathan. So this list, anyway, it's an inexorable list. We have 2 Malignant Plague casters. I know Don Huson, I've streamed many of Don Huson's games from T5S2, and he loves those Malignant Plague casters, which is fair because they are very good, just like combat casters. They're super, super dope, strong. Plague Marines, a bunch of Plague Marines, tons of Plague Marines with all their free upgrades. Yeah, we're just spamming Plague Marines out. 3 Chaos Rhinos to put the Plague Marines inside to get them to the middle of the table. 1 unit of Desperate Terminators, Tallyman with a Toll Keeper. We don't have any Toll Contemptors here, but it is just an Exploding Sixes aura for all the plasma guns that we have on these Plague Marines. And they have Blight Launchers too. No, Meltaguns. We got Exploding Sixes on Meltaguns, so that's certainly worth a CP for sure. But I know Don played a list similar to this one back in the day when the Death Guard Codex was released. I think that I have that game on I want to say I have that game in the replay channel, like way back in the day. And that was a super fun list, and it was a super fun game. But it didn't do too well because the Plague Marines are a little bit too pricey. But now they are right at a good place, and Don Huson's going X-1 with them. So kudos to him. Portal GT is the one that I streamed over the weekend. You can check out the games there. Alex Fennel took it down with Necrons. Alex Fennel's is, for those who don't know, he's like sort of an OG competitive player. He was on his way out, I think, when I got in. But there's a very famous clip from an LVO back in 2017, 2016, like that. And his opponent basically scumbagged him out of the win in the semifinals, and that's unfortunately for him, I think probably what a lot of people associated him with. But it gave Nick Nanavati, I think that was maybe the first year that Nick Nanavati won, or the second year or something like that. But it gave Nick Nanavati the excuse to scumbag his opponent right back at him at the end, and he was like he used Alex as the this is kind of the excuse for that. So competitive 40k is wild, chat. I'm glad we don't have that level of chicanery in top games anymore, where you just totally angle shoot your opponent out. But I'm sure you can find that event link somewhere. But anyway, he's playing Necrons now. He's got a pink and sparkly Necron build, which is super cool, and he ended up taking it down in the finals against Ynnari. And we also see number 1, number 2 Necrons there. CBR N84 going X-1 with Adeptus Sororitas, and we have an Orks and X-1 too from the event. This is a Goff's list. Are you about to jump on me? Yeah, you are. What's up, girl? Artemis, Steve saw Harry Dan today. saw a little hairy Dan in the wild. Let's see if I can get my cat on stream here. Hey, Inky, what are you doing right now? It's gonna be. Oh, you can see her tail. There she is. Hey, you want to go talk to all the people on stream? She likes looking directly in the camera whenever it's pointed at her. Here we go. Hello. Say hello to everybody in the camera. No, she's done. She just wants to rub her head on the desk. What a cutie pie. There she is. Hi. All right, you just can't go on the desk, all right, girl? This is 30 commandos. Oh, I think we talked about a similar list of this. So kill rig, 1 battle wagon, 3 units of quick hog boys, 30 commandos, 10 Burna boys. Goes in a truck, I assume. Yeah, there's a truck for them. Little open top truck. Little Tyranid kitty, absolutely, chat. Harry Dan for Magic. What? There's a Harry Dan in Magic? No way. I gotta get that card and frame it. Put it on my wall next to my real Harry Dan. That's friggin' sick, chat. I hope it makes gargoyle tokens. That would be cool. I do miss Harry Dan too. I think there was my locals were talking about there's like a competitive tournament this weekend, or a casual tournament this weekend with like a new store. I was like, maybe I bring Harry Dan. He's really bad now, so I bet I could get away with it. People won't. He doesn't quite table entire armies by himself anymore, as much as he used to, which is very sad. I did appreciate going to events and having people pull their hair out at him, but he's a sad boy now, unfortunately, since they removed basically every synergy between super heavies and the Tyranny Codex. Very unfortunate. So this is a single kill rig build, triple Gretchen, 2 units of Beast Snagga boys, and then a ton of commandos. So we're really alpha strikey today, just putting a ton of commandos in your opponent's deployment zone, and we're just gonna charge them with them. You can turn 1 charge, and I think that Tom was calling his wahs over the weekend. So if you watched the streams over the weekend and you heard some wahs in the background, I believe that was Tom. Every time he wah'd, he would yell, which was pretty fun. Tabletop Titans spoiled Harry Dan, and yes, it does make gargoyle tokens. Amazing. Tabletop Titans got a Magic the Gathering spoiler. What is this world we live in, Chad? Tabletop Titans got a Magic the Gathering spoiler. Incredible. I guess, oh, they do Magic the Gathering content, right? They do, actually. So that makes sense. Am I thinking, is that what I'm thinking of? Or am I thinking of, like, Dice Check? One of those big streamers does Magic the Gathering. Yeah, they do Magic the Gathering, Cat. You're being very, very distracting right now. All right, we have some more Tyranids we could talk about in Perils of Geekery, or we could skip and talk about Space Wolves, I'm sure people are very excited about. All right, you want to go back in there? Here, no, okay, you just fell down. All right, good enough. John Indelicate, playing High Fleet Leviathan list. Double Neurothrope, Man After My Own Heart. Turvagon, 2 units of Tyranid Warriors, 3 units of Tyranid Warriors, Biovores, Zonethropes. No Hive Tyrant! How do you even play Tyranid without a Hive Tyrant, chat? If anybody watched my game last night on stream, I straight up would have lost the game if I didn't have a Hive Tyrant. Oh my god. And there's so many games where if I don't have a Hive Tyrant, I would have lost. And he just pulls it out. So I can't imagine playing a Turvagon over Hive Tyrant, I'm going to be honest. Monoclaws of Thyrax on that guy, but there are no Termagants. So he does not make himself unshootable. He's just there. That's a weird list, chat. That is what you call a weird list. It does buff the speed on the warriors, like so you can turn 1, turn 2, like pull big speed, and then you just charge them with all of the warrior squads, which certainly does help. But I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it without a Hive Tyrant, chat. Ooh, double neuro is the truth for sure. Absolutely. 100%. The double Neurothrope is awesome. I'm sort of slowly coming around on the Broodlord in my games right now, but man, does he feel worse than a little Neurothrope boy. And honestly, he probably would be the same as a Neurothrope if the Recover the Relics wasn't in the format. Honestly, I should just try to find a way to get more frickin' Genestealers on my list and remove that Broodlord for a Neurothrope. I could do it. I bet I could find a way, but whatever. We got some Imperial Knights here. I believe this is a Freeblade Lance. Oh, nope, this is the wrong list. It's borked. Oopsies. Robert Bishop, who's a T5S2 player. Playing some Necrons. Congratulations for the X and 1. Robert Bishop. He's got Technomancer. Catan Shot of the Void Dragon. 1 unit of Scorpic Destroyers. 2 units of 6 Wraiths. Love it. I know a lot of people have been switching Wraiths for Ophidian Destroyers recently, which are cheaper and hit, I guess, like a little bit harder because they're Destroyers and so they rerolls and they're Plasma Sight synergy and stuff. But they're so much easier to kill. It's wild. They're a lower toughness and don't have they swap the invulnerable save for a regular armor save. Not great. So every time I see those Ophidian Destroyers, I like cackle a little bit to myself because I know they're just gonna get shot to death. And then double Doom Scythe, love it, and 1 unit of Locust Destroyers. Alex Fennel also had the Locust Destroyer unit in his list as well, and I didn't look at Jeremy Ozelin's list, but I would be shocked if it didn't also. Oh, this one had a big Tombblade unit instead. So no Destroyers. This is also bringing 20 Flayed ones. It's an interesting list as well. With Catan Shatter the Nightbringer, but we're basically going to be sinking the buffs onto the Tombblade unit, not the Locust Destroyer unit, which is, to be fair, a lot cheaper, although it does less damage. Cool beans. Move on to some more interesting. Jeremy Kampko with Space Wolves. The audio cut out. I don't think... shouldn't have. So it looks good on my end, chat, so sounds like it's okay. Broodlord's meta-dependent, running double Neuro Yorm, Mortal Wound spam, and it's so much fun. Yeah, I think it depends on whether or not you have other forward deploy. Because at least in my opinion, Tyranids are so CP-starved that you can't take the risk on Recover the Relics. The one time I took it to a tournament and I risked the Recover the Relics, they rolled up Recover the Relics round 1, and I lucked out by getting to buy that round. But it would have been super rough if I had played 2 CP down. In that mission, it sucks so hard. So yeah, I don't know. I think that you just have to find another way to get forward deploy in your list if you're taking the second Neurothrope. I do like the second Neurothrope though a ton. Even in the matchups where he's not Psychic Interrogating, and he's the best Psychic Interrogator for sure. But even in the matchups where he's not Psychic Interrogating, that dude just like dumps 5 mortal wounds on somebody every turn. It's awesome. He's so good. Plus having 3 Psychic buffs is amazing. I think once Leagues of Votan come out in full, I think that the Mortal Wound Spam army is going to be like where it's at for Tyranids. And I have a sneaking suspicion every Tyranid list starts with like... You still take the Hive Tyrant, maybe he switches to Reaper of Obliterax to punch through Void Armor, and then you just take like triple Zone, throw double Neurothrope, and then go from there. Which should be pretty good. So this is Wolf Bots. We got some Wolf Bots going on, playing Astral Claws. So I think we have a Luft Huron. We talked about a similar list last week. Was this the same player? It must have been. Right, chat? It must have been. We have a Luft Huron on this list? Yep, there he is. Yeah, I think we talked about him 2 weeks ago. Jeremy Kapko with your freaking Luft Huron, dude. Gets to bring in a nice orbital strike, full freezies, forces people out into the open. Then they get to fight Wolfen Dreadnoughts and triple Redemptor Dreadnoughts. So he can drop the if you're hiding from the Redemptor Dreadnoughts and the Long Fangs. Does he have Long Fangs in this list? Doesn't look like any drop infantry. All right, fair enough. So if you're hiding from the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, he can punish you by orbital striking you for free. So if you want out in the open, then the Redemptor Dreadnoughts get to shoot you. And then you're just playing normal Space Wolf stuff. So you have an Armor of Rust on the Tech Marine who's going to be standing next to the Redemptors. He's Master of the Forge, although he doesn't have Warden of the Ancients, which is pretty sick. Gives the Redemptor Dreadnoughts +1 attack, which is kind of sweet when they're standing next to him. It also works on the Wolfen Dreadnoughts, even though they're not core, because it doesn't require them to be core. So he can just stand next to them and buff their melee output, which is pretty sweet. But even so, just plays a super duper consistent game plan because you got all these guns. They're backed up by a ton of Wolfguard with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws and Thunder Hammers in them. And then you have the Wolfen Dreadnoughts that can draw fire for the Redemptors, and you just close out things with the Redemptors and the characters. Just good Space Wolf stuff. Good, clean Space Wolf's fun, chat. That's what we got going on. Nephilim makes Genestealer is a mandatory 80-point tax. Yeah, so you save 60 points basically if you cut the Neuro for the Broodlord, because then the Broodlord can do your forward deploy. But he's a worse caster than the Neuro, and he's easier to kill too, which sucks. So, let's see. We got just a couple other events to talk about. It was kind of a light weekend for events, all told, which is why we're going to dig into Genestealer cults pretty deep here in a sec. Harbor Heresy had some really wild finishes here. We had Space Wolves 4-0-1, which tied with Chaos Space Marines, and then a Chaos Space Marine 5-0 for the win. Which is pretty sweet. So we have another Space Wolves we can talk about. Linton Rowan bringing in Astraeus. Oh my god, chat. This is like just so sick. Astraeus with that shared faction bonus CP refund, excuse me, for the super heavy auxiliary detachment. So he still doesn't give you your sub faction abilities, but if you're a Space Wolf successor, you're on Hunger for Battle, Whirlwind of Rage. So +1 to charge, exploding sixes in melee. The Astraeus actually doesn't get any of those benefits anyway, or doesn't really care about them. So you're actually not that worried about it. But he does benefit from everything else, like having a Tech Marine standing next to him, giving him +1 to hit. It's not quite as good as Iron Hands, because you don't get like the other synergies, but just an Astraeus hitting on 2s is pretty cool. You don't get the Iron Stone is the real downside. But as Astraeus, I have a video on the replay channel. I played against Astraeus a couple weeks ago, and it was terrifying and horrible, and it killed my whole army, and I was sad, and it made me angry. And you can go watch that video. That was an Iron Hands Astraeus, so significantly tankier, but I think this one's still good. And plus, it has the same effect as those Redemptor Dreadnoughts of forcing your opponent to engage into you. So then we have that backed up by 30 Wolfmen. This list is wild. So you have one of the game's most powerful shooting platforms, especially against heavy infantry, which is all the rage right now, right? Terminator bricks, Tyranid warriors, everybody's bringing like 2-3 wound infantry. And an Astraeus just removes like 6 of those every shooting step. It's so crazy at killing them. So you have this insane fire platform, and just behind it is standing 30, or in front of it is standing 30 Wolfen. You can't engage profitably into the Wolfen because they have an Armor of Rust, right? They do? Just kidding. They have an Armor Indomitus. Okay, so no Armor of Rust. That's sad. But they have Murderous Hurricane, so they can make you fight last offensively, and then the Wolfen will just fight on death and kill you even if you get into them. And if you don't get to the Astraeus, it will eventually shoot your army to death. That's a super cool list, chat. That's awesome. That's just super sweet. Lose your Iron Hands Astraeus all the time? Yeah, dude. Iron Hands are strong. And especially as soon as, I mean, anytime they have the ability to, like, plow all their buffs into one target, like one big vehicle, they just go, Iron Hands go absolutely insane. So, Astraeus pretty sweet. Good stuff. The Chaos Space Marine list, though, we have Zach Nelson at the 5-0 with Creations of Bile, man after my own heart, doing some T5S2 attack right here. Lord Discordant on Hellstalker with Flames of Spite, so the rerolls and Mortal Wounds. Aloka the Black for Mortal Wounds on successful wound rolls as well. Master of Possession with Mark of Tzeentch. Impact of Flesh, very good, fair enough. Dark Apostle with Illusory Supplication, so that's to go on our Chaos Terminator brick, which every list has. You gotta have the Chaos Terminator brick. 3 units of Possessed. Master of Executions as well. 1 unit of 8 Warp Talons, pretty big unit of Warp Talons, as well as Abaddon to the Spoiler. Interesting that this one is focusing most heavily on the Possessed, because the Possessed units, they're super strong, obviously, but they don't have the greatest synergy with Creations of Bile, because they don't have core, so they can't advance and charge, which is really where you want to be. That's like, you want some like super long threat ranges on those guys. We have a Black Legion as the X-0-1 Chaos Space Marine player, 3 units of Legionnaires, 10-man Chaos Terminator Squad, Mark of Slash, Black Room of Damnation, what a shocker. Unit of Chaos Bikers. I like these guys on the Black Legion lists because you get a good sync early for Abaddon's rerolls. So you can give them full rerolls and they can just run out and do something. They have Mark of Tzeentch, so they're annoying to kill. And they have, usually you can like kit them. Yeah, we have 2 Meltagons in the unit. So you can put like the 2 Meltagun dudes up front and then blast something with full rerolls, hide the rest of the unit. Mark of Tzeentch, if they only have a couple guns that shoot back at you, Mark of Tzeentch can take care of you. If you do lose them, you can just pull the Meltagun Bikers and pack to flush them back. So they actually are kind of a good trading unit early game. And they give Heretic Astartes a little bit of reach, which they don't normally have. They're kind of slow and tepid. Yeah, and we do have the Pact of Flesh and the Master of Possession there too. And then Abaddon the Despoiler for full rerolls. Good stuff. And then last but certainly not least, we do have our only hit of Chaos Demons here, and I don't know if they were using the new rules. I think that some places, well, I think this is the first week that new rules were in play, but I don't know if everyone has made the transition yet. I think next week we start to see Chaos Demons doing real big things, especially because they did a good job at keeping Chaos Demons on lock until it was very near to when they were released. So unlike Tyranids and some of the other factions, like Leagues of Votan will be, we don't have as much forewarning of what's going to be good in the Codex. So, like, Chaos Demons, you know, just got 2 weeks ago, right? They got spoiled, and people are still, I think, building different lists with them. So the metagame for Chaos Demons is still way up in the air, and I don't think a lot of people have adopted them yet, which is probably why we haven't seen too much of them. Whether or not they're broken, I don't think they are. I think the Flamers are broken, but I think that's the only real thing in the list that needs to be super looked at. So interestingly, bringing an undivided attachment that's almost entirely Khorne, except for this Infernal Rapturous and this Exalted Flamer. That's followed up with a Tzeentch detachment. So he did unlock the Tzeentch abilities, which I think is pretty important because getting +1 to cast for 3 Warpstorm points is a pretty big deal. Especially because it affects Be'lakor too, even though he's not in the Tzeentch detachment. So it doesn't unlock the Khorne abilities, but it does unlock the Bloodthirst tank. Yeah, he's Bloodthirst tanked up, chat. Yes. And I watched, I streamed a Bloodthirst tank, 2 games actually with him on, should we just call him a tank thirster, right? That's better, right? That sounds better. I streamed 2 games with Adam Weinstein from the GT this past weekend playing the tank thirster, and he was an absolute god on the tabletop every time. Damage output's a little bit low, especially for the points cost. 350 points and 2 CP is a lot. But it's good enough to keep the Blood Drinker Talisman fueled. And as long as you can continue to do that, he's up against Adeptus Sororitas and survived wildly long because he kept killing 6 or 7 units of 6 or 7 models and then mortal wounding another model to death. At one point he dropped or Celestine had respawned in a previous phase, I believe, in the psychic phase or shooting phase. The Bloodthirster attacked, consolidated, and uses end of fight phase smite ability to kill Celestine out of his sequence, which was super duper cool. And the fact that he just survives for long enough to do that because he takes oftentimes 4 or 5 full phases to kill is pretty wild. So, he's a tough boy. Between that Blood Drinker Talisman and the Brazen Hide. And in order to get him through his 8-win phase cap. So pretty exciting to see the Bloodthirster doing well. The downside of is, and I've talked about this a little bit with the Demon reviews I've done, is that Be'lakor is really awkward to include in your list if you want to tank out the Bloodthirster. Because the only way that Demons have to unlock their Warlord trait is the regular Warlord trait strat. So the one that unlocks it on the Warlord, which means that the Tank Thirster has to be your Warlord. Which means that even though Be'lakor is a Supreme Commander, if you put him in a Supreme Command detachment, he steals the Warlord slot, and the Bloodthirster doesn't get to do that. So it's sad for him. He's a sad guy. And I don't know. So you have to put him together in a detachment, basically, so that the Bloodthirster can steal the Be'lakor's special deal. Which is a little bit awkward, but it is what it is. 2 units of Flamers, not 3. Despicable. We do have 10 Blue Horrors. I'm interested about the Slaneshi demons in here. I guess it's because we have a bunch of demonettes, so we can cast on them, and she's a really good what's the word? Psychic Interrogator. So between Reality Rebels, which is the demon secondary to outnumber people in table quarters or have stuff in the middle of the table, that's basically like an automatic 12+. That secondary is so strong. And then you can also have Psychic You have access to Psychic Interrogation. Demon secondaries are actually very good. They also have an action secondary, a Shadow Op secondary that's pretty strong. It is a little bit tough to do, though, because it's a full round action. But it scores really high. It's a 4-point per objective action you can do, but I believe you can do it in your deployment zone, which means that you usually will get 12 on it pretty easily. So Cold Slate Chaos Demons and an X and 1. Hopefully we see them doing a little bit better. And I just I've been having some demons on my 3D printer right now, chat. My 3D printer pooped out last week. I have an Elegoo, and they were kind enough to just send me the replacement parts. I got them in literally just before the stream, and my 3D printer is softly purring away in the background right now. So I don't know if I will, but I'm going to try to have demons ready for this weekend. We'll see if I can. And if I can, then I'll talk about them on Tactical Tuesday next week, because it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting and cool. Pretty fun. Slanesh looks fun to you. You already play armies that do exactly what Slanesh does, so you definitely shouldn't. It's okay. Come to the dark side of Tzeentch demons. Let the coruscating flames of Tzeentch envelop you, and also envelop your opponents with D6 plus 3 automatic AP2 hits. D6 plus 3 per flamer, chat. D6 plus 3. And you can have 18 of them. 18 D6 plus 54. Let's go. Man, it's so good. The one interesting thing I should say, actually, that I think has been happening is that people have been moving away from the Lord of Change, who in my games I've really enjoyed. I've really liked the Lord of Change. But they've been moving to a double Herald build, which saves you about 50 points and a couple CP. But the Fate Skimmers are really strong, kind of out of nowhere, because they get a Staff of Change, just like all of the other Tzeentch Heralds, which is a range 12 3-shot, I think AP 4/2 damage gun. I believe it's strength 5, but it's just a really solid gun, essentially. They're move 14, so they can get it on target really easily, and they have another upgrade, Retinue of Horrors, for a baked-in +1 to cast. So they're always +1 to cast. You can, if you have the Tzeentch Warpstorm ability unlocked, which they do in this list, you can pay 3 Warpstorm points to give them an additional +1 to cast, so they're +2, and they're super-duper fast. So I think there's like a legitimate question of whether or not you take 1 Lord of Change or 2 Fate Skimmers, and honestly, it might be the 2 Fate Skimmers. They're kind of, honestly, they're sort of the sleeper in my book out of the faction that I was kind of surprised I saw. Demon Shadow Op excludes the one in your deployment zone. Oh, okay. So that's worse than I thought it was, but it's still fine. Although, like, you just take banners, right? It's just banners. Let's take a look at our demon secondaries here, and it's Despoil Reality or whatever it is. Despoilers of Reality. Chaos Demon units from your army can attempt the action. Oh, it's 1 or more. That's the benefit, is that you can do it multiple times per turn. It's an objective not within your deployment zone that has not been corrupted already. It completes at the start of your next command phase or end of battle, so you can do it final round, and then you score 4 victory points. Okay, all right. You have to... Oh, you also don't have to control the objective. So it's basically like the fortify position, right, that Imperial Fists have. But there's like a ton of upside because it takes a full round action to complete, but you can do it at the end of the game. So if you go second, you can like bottom round 5 score out the entire secondary. It doesn't matter if your opponent's on the objective. And you do have to control it. Just kidding. But you can like do 3 objectives in the final turn or whatever, and then you can get it there. Yeah. The problem is, yeah, I don't know. Banners is like so consistent though. Like my game yesterday, my opponent, this game I streamed last night, my opponent was playing Imperial Guard. He bannered like 1 objective and scored that all game and still got 10 points. Like, because it just final round, you just score like 2 or 3 additional banners and then they automatically tick at the end of the game, and you're just like, we did it, boys. Like round 4, you just start putting banners wherever you want, and your opponent has to try to clear them. That might have been because I was basically tabled at the end of the game, but still won though. Get wrecked. But even though like the worst case scenario for banners is like a 10-point, this is like a 10-point secondary. It's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Talked a lot about Chaos Demons. We got some Thousand Suns. X and O at this event. Cult of Duplicity on a disc. An Infernal Master. Bunch of Rubik Marines. We got through. How many Scarab Cult Terminators do we think? 1, 2, 20. Only 20. And a Chaos Rhino. Very exciting. But unfortunately, we've sort of ended up kind of at the same place with Thousand Suns armies these days. Everybody's basically the same. We also have an X1 Chaos Space Marines here, which is another Creations of Bile. Yay! Exciting. Master Possession, Dark Apache with Illusory Supplication, 3 units of Legionnaires, big Chaos Terminator brick, what a shocker, 2 units of Five Possessed, Master of Executions, 1 Venom Crawler for the +1 to cast, 5 Warp Talons, and Abaddon the Despoiler. We can probably stop looking at most Chaos Space Marine armies, chat, because they're all basically the same. I don't know if, how much we can glean from Chaos Space Marines. Anyway, let's talk about friggin' some Genestealer cults. Oh, I literally just closed the window. What an idiot I am. So TNA Open, we got Simon Gashkovic, Gajki from the Discord, 5-0. Congratulations with Tyranids. Good stuff. We had a Tau Empire in there, double Imperial Knights, which is interesting in the top 5. But what I want to do is talk a little bit about Eric, our friend here, Eric Lathuris, who has gone 5-0 with Genestealer cults, winning the event. Now, I did talk about his list from WTC, and this list is pretty similar. It's running the custom cult, which, unlike other subfaction abilities, cults use like a point buy system. So unlike Space Marines, where you just like pick 2 chapter tactics, or Tau uses like the near and far sept ability, where you have a sept and then you use an adjacent sept. You pick a sept ability from an adjacent sept and you steal that one. Genestealer cults use a point buy system where you get 4 points. Different abilities will cost different numbers of points, and you spend 4. It turns out the best combination of abilities is just spamming 4 separate subfaction abilities, because individually all of the subfaction abilities are pretty good. So having 4 of them, which is like way more than any other subfaction in the game effectively, is really strong. So they have Accustomed to Turmoil, which gives them a stalwart effect. So they can only be wounded on 3s, which is very good for all the T3 infantry they have. They don't care about strength 6 weapons, which is awesome. Cold-Eyed Killers gives them in melee a rending ability, so +1 AP on wound rolls of 6. Industrial Affinity lets them ignore all hit modifiers with their industrial weapons, which is all their heavy weapons. So they can move and fire their heavy weapons without penalty, which is pretty sweet. And War Convoy gives them a 6+ damage ignore on all of their wheeled units. So all the vehicles, all the bikers, basically. That's on top of their already pretty, sort of annoyingly resilient defensive profile. So Adelan Jackals here, I'm sure we can pull up their data sheet, have a built-in -1 to be hit. And then you can stack on top of that a 6+ damage ignore. So you're stalwart already. So you don't care about strength 8 effectively because you're T4. You have a built-in -1 to hit from Skilled Outrider. And that's permanent. That's permanent -1 to hit, and it does not care about melee or ranged attacks. It's always, anytime an attack is made against them, which is pretty cool. And then on top of that, you have a 6+ damage ignore. So despite the fact that they're T4, 4-up, save 2 wounds, the unit is actually ridiculously difficult to kill, which is good because it can be revived with an Acolyte Icon Ward. So that's already strong. They don't do a ton of damage, but they do just sort of take a ton of table space. They can also fall back and charge, which means that if they get into you, they can start engaging your guns and then falling back and then charging into different guys. And I think they can take this power weapon. It's a strength 4 AP2, but I don't know if they usually do. No, they just have their little 4-shot gun or strength 4 guns. So that's sweet. We have 3 units of Adeline Jackals, 8 Jackals apiece, and 2 Wolf Quads with heavy flamers. We also have 3 Goliath Rock Grinders with seismic cannons. And then the beef of the army, for the most part. So all that stuff is benefiting from that 6+ damage ignore. The Adeline Jackals are -1 to be hit. The Goliath Rock Grinders are -1 to be -1 damage. Excuse me. So all of them have defensive effects that are stacked on top of their Iron Hands ability, essentially. We have the Acolyte Icon Ward to respawn. The Jackals, the Primus, who has nothing on him. He's just there to hang out, and I believe he gives a targeted reroll once to hit, if I remember correctly. 2 units of Acolyte Hybrids, with a couple Hand Flamers scattered in there just to mostly do actions. And then 3 units of Neophyte Hybrids with the upgrades. So one is a 10-man, so a little small unit. Then 2 20-mans. They've got 4 Seismic Cannons, which are the industrial weapons, which fortunately they will ignore the hit penalty on when they move and shoot them. And those are either a 6-shot Strength 4 gun or a 3-shot Strength 6 AP2 2 damage, which is a fine profile. It's okay. But it's relatively cheap. And then they have 16 shotguns in each of those units. One of them has lying in wait, so that is, if I remember correctly, the 3-inch deep strike ability. Yes, so they drop 3 inches away from enemy models, which means that in a lot of situations they can drop on your objectives. Especially if you haven't surrounded the objective and you're not wholly sort of on it with your unit, a lot of times they can find a place to touch it with that hybrid unit, and then they can shoot you. They can't charge, but they can shoot you. The other one is Perfect Ambush, which exposes and crossfires you when they come out of Deep Strike, which gives them, if I remember correctly, a hit and wound bonus against you. It is, if you have a crossfire marker on you, you are +1 to be hit, and if you are exposed, which is basically if you're crossfired and have people on either side of you, then you are +1 to be wounded. And the Neophyte Hybrid unit counts you as both when it comes out of Deep Strike. So they shoot you with 32 shotgun shots and, between 8 and 24. Is that right? No, 12 and 24 seismic cannon shots, all at +1 to hit and +1 to wound, ignoring penalties on the seismic cannons. Pretty good. Premise is an aura and targeted reroll ones. Oh, it's targeted reroll ones to wound, aura of reroll ones to hit. But we have a Nexos who can make those infinite range, if I remember correctly, chat, which means that he gets to do all that stuff with rerolls, which is pretty sweet. How are they divided between transports? They're not in transports. There's no transports for them. The Rock Grinders, I don't believe transport. You have to have the trucks. Oh, they transport 6. So you can put the little Acolyte units in the transports if you want to. I guess it just depends on how that ends up, how that needs to work. Which gives you that kind of effect where you have your transports able to disembark objective secured when they die, which is pretty good. But I think for the most part, the Rock Grinders sort of mix it up too, because they're okay at fighting in melee. They just have a bad weapon skill value. But generally speaking, all of the neophytes, or at least these 2 big units, are going to be deep striking because that's where they get the use of their proficient planning ability. The pure Strange Genestealers came from below, which is the pregame move, so they can deploy basically on the line, and then they can try to lock you in your deployment zone and kill your screens if they go first, and if they go second, then they can I don't know. They can still do that, but but they can also pull themselves back from the. They can pull themselves back out of line of sight. They can also, when they can potentially enter reserve instead of deploying when they ambush marker. So for those who don't know, the Genestealer cults use like a unique deployment setup where for each unit that they're deploying, they put a marker down, and then at the start or end of the first movement phase, depending on whose turn it is, they deploy models from those markers, and they have different ways to add additional markers if they want more flexibility in deployment, or they can, like the Came From Below ability can remove that marker and put it into Deep Strike instead of deploying the unit that it's attached to. So they have a ton of ways to their deployment's like super duper funky and weird, which is cool. So what I'd like to do, obviously, that's the basic list, and I'm gonna be honest, chat. There's also there's a Killer Morph, obviously, who can deep strike and then shoot a bunch of people with his guns, and then when he hits, he gets additional attacks. He has Wormtooth round, so the buffed ranged attack. We have a Clamavus there who can remove Obsec from enemy units by yelling at them. And then he is also upgraded with a 3-shot 2-damage pistol as well, which is kind of cute because he wants to deep strike or pop up near you to remove your objective secured, and then he also has a gun he can use while he's there, which I think is pretty sweet. So what I'd like to do from here, chat, is go through the event itself, which was the TNA Open, and talk about the games, like sort of like normally what I do when I do a list breakdown. We don't usually do these live. But I think it will be interesting this time around. So I have my BCP up here. Oh, it was an Eric mirror match, round 1. Sorry, other Eric, you're about to get killed by the Genestealer called Eric. That's an unfortunate matchup for not Genestealer cult Eric. So round 1 was against other Eric playing Blood Angels. With a bunch of Sanguinary Guard. Oh, this is really way too big for the screen, unfortunately. Here we go. Pretty normal Blood Angels list, honestly. Ooh. There's the whole list. We figured it out. So 3 units of Sanguinary Guard, 2 Assault Squads. Love to see the Assault Squads in there. They get free upgrades now. So we have Lightning Claws and Plasma Pistols. But still a good utility unit. One Eradicator Squad to have a gun. Death Company Squad for Forlorn Fury. 3 random units of Idiot Troops. Commander Dante, Astorath the Grim, and the Sanguinary Priest. Unfortunately, I don't know what the missions were for each of these. But pretty regular Blood Angel squad, or Blood Angel's army. And the interesting part is that we were able to get through the high save value of the Sanguinary Guard, which I guess the Seismic Cannons certainly help on because they have a decent AP value. But I would be worried that shooting a bunch of shotguns at people would be tough to kill them. But it looks like we got through. We do get that Rending ability in melee, which can be useful. Round 2 had Joshua McGowan playing some Cadians, and this is probably a matchup that I would sort of expect to be a little bit easier for Genestealer cults, especially if they can keep their guys out of line of sight of the tank commanders. They can pop in and basically just remove infantry squads like wholesale. They have a really good profile at killing light infantry. And they're going to kill a ton of them when they pop out of Deep Strike. So this list was triple tank commanders, a bunch of infantry squads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, plus 3 command squads, 2 manticores, a chimera platoon commander, and Castellan Creed. And this is interestingly regular Cadians, so we're not re-rolling anything. But the Genestealer cult, I believe, do have a stratagem to return to Deep Strike after they destroy a unit in melee, which is called Return to the Shadows. So So they can do it in the movement phase or in the fight phase after you consolidate if you're more than 6 inches away from enemies. Then you can pull yourself off of the table and deep strike the next turn. So one thing that could potentially happen is that if these little infantry squads get up on your objectives, you can, shoot something to death, charge the other whatever squad is remaining, probably kill them with your volume of attacks, and then use that to return to the shadows. What's up, Cat? How's it going? Use that to return to the shadows so that you don't get killed by the tank commanders. And then a lot of the game is just sort of trying to keep away from the tank commanders for as long as possible, because those things are the scariest thing in our friend Astra Militarum here. I'm trying to get in. We're about to get invaded by an animal here. All right, please stop. Round 3. And fortunately for Genestealer cults, I don't know if they're super great at killing the tank commanders, the Leman Russ or the armor, but all they need to do is kill the infantry, which they're really good at doing, and then the army starts to fall apart. And one thing that's interesting is that all of these games have been relatively close. The first round was the easiest one, it looks like, for Eric. And I do wonder if that was just like sort of out obsecking his opponent in a big way. But the next one... All right, you are directly in my way. Go to your tower. To your castle. There you go. The next one, was a 20-point win. And then the third round, round 3, only a 5-point win. This was against Hayden Walduck playing Tau. So we don't have any easy matchups yet so far, chat. I think Astra Militarum is the easiest, but speaking from experience, that matchup's like actually low-key really hard. Astra Militarum is a legit faction now, and despite the fact that, I don't know, people pew me for saying that, but man, play against the really good Astra Militarum player, chat. It's tough. You'll probably still win because you'll like get a 15 unknown prisoners or something, but they will score a lot of points on you. So this one we're up against Fish of Fury kind of list. 2 Pathfinder teams. The 2 Sunshark Bombers are probably the scariest army for the scariest unit for Genestealer cult, but you can still shoot one to death. Their saves aren't that. Their defensive profile is not that good, so you can shoot one to death with your light infantry if you come out of deep strike. The rest of this is really light. There's 1 Hammerhead gunship, the 2 bombers, 4 Devilfish with Pathfinders and Breachers in them. What a weird list, chat. That one's pretty strange. The full EDH deck is spoiled. You should post it in the chat, and then we can look at it after this, after we look at all these games. So I have a sneaking suspicion that I imagine GSC would have had a tougher time if this was a tougher style of GSC, of Tau list. But the fact that it's all light infantry, again, it's very similar to the Imperial Guard matchup, where they can kill all of the little stuff and just leave the characters and the bombers alive, or probably 1 bomber. I imagine 1 goes down eventually. And then you just win out on points from there. Obviously, it looks like the Tau are able to come back in a big way because that game was so close. This is round 3. And only lost by 5 points. Probably, I almost wonder if it was Tau going second and getting bottom round 5 scoring, because they can score tons of points late game. But if they've already lost their light infantry, it doesn't matter that much. They couldn't push it back. This one was a blowout, though. David Truman, 29 points against Eric Luthurus. That's I think I just clicked the wrong button. That says to me that I wonder if it was this is Blood Angels again, chat. What is this? Is Eric Luthurus just really good at killing Blood Angels? Is that is that what we're learning here? This is a weird one. Triple Death Company. We're trying to get what is it? Vengeance of the Lost, Fury of the Lost, the Death Company secondary going, but it's 30 Death Company Marines with jump packs, 3 units of Sanguinary Guard. This is a pretty sweet, it's cool list actually. 2 units of Eliminators, Astrath, Commander Dante. There's I'd like to hear about this matchup a little bit more, chat. Maybe it's just that Blood Angels don't quite have the like the Blood Angels kind of want to be alpha striking, and if they can't do that because the GSC are hiding from them, then they have a tough time getting up to where they need to be in order to sort of close the game out. But I would feel like this would be a tougher game for GSC just because of the profile matchups. But it may not be. There is a Rites of War on the Sanguinary Priest. So you can... The Sanguinary Guard Squads can take objectives from the GSC. But I guess if the GSC are just like... They just out-deploy the Sanguinary Guard. You kill the Death Company early because they're the easiest guys to kill. And then you just start dropping dudes on backline objectives and stuff where the Sanguinary Guard can't easily turn around and hit you. Then I can imagine that can get really... You just cut them on primary hard enough to win. Which I imagine that that's the game plan, honestly. And then the final round, Marcel Majan playing. It's a 64-97, so a 27-point differential versus Orks. Man, you play Orks in the final round. You gotta be feeling pretty good if you play Orks in the final round there, Shem. No offense to Orc players, but Orks are... No, they're a little bit more straightforward than most factions that are in the final game. Either they go first and they wah you and turn on top of 2 and you have a bad time, or you play a real game. Double kill rig, battle wagon, Gazgul to go inside the battle wagon, I assume. I don't know if I imagine that you can do that. The battle wagon has a fortress upgrade, which I think is one of the special. What do you call them? Custom jobs, right? Which makes it harder to kill. I think it gives it a 5+ invuln. It's kind of talking on my butt here, chat. I'm sorry. 1 unit of commandos, 1 unit of mega knobs, 2 units of tank bustas. Well, those are actually legitimately good into the Goliath rock grinders, which is helpful for that matchup. 2 units of beast snagga boys to go in the kill rigs. 1 big unit of grots, Makari, a weird boy, and a beast boss. Shane got tabled turn 3 playing GSC into Blood Angels of the tournament. Played your Blood Angels into GSC. Tabled turn in 3 turns. Curious to how he beats Blood Angels with GSC consistently. Yeah, it seems like it's very consistent. And it does also seem like, I wonder what the metagame breakdown of this event was, because it does seem like there's probably a lot of Blood Angels here, right? 1... No, maybe not. Maybe not so much. 2. Yeah, no, I think he just hit 3, 4. 4 Blood Angels? I think he just randomly hit like half of the Blood Angels in the meta. And he hit one of them undefeated after round 2, right? He was 2-0 going into the 3rd round. So he's not a slouch. You know, you're not hitting like day 1 players in round 3 killing Blood Angels players. Oh, that was Tau. So it was round 4 he played Blood Angels, right? Yeah, so even better. So these are legitimately good Blood Angels players that are getting killed by these Genestealer cults. So I am curious about this matchup, chat. I wonder if there's somebody who has some insight there. We should probably try to get. I say this about every player that we talk about. We should try to get Eric Lithoris on, and he can talk about Genestealer cults. Talk my ear off about Genestealer cults, which would be cool. I promise I'll try to do that one this time, chat. I always end up getting my the time runs away from me, and I don't end up getting somebody on. But I would like to try more consistently for sure. All right, chats. Well, that's what we talked. That's all the games from this event. Congratulations to Eric for going 5-0 with Genestealer cult. That's friggin' sick. Killing Blood Angels apparently. So apparently, if Blood Angels are your problem, then Genestealer cult has the GSE just has the silver bullet. Do they still have the stratagem? Shows how much I know, right? Do they still have the stratagem to throw all of their charges? In Rusted Claw, they do. They have... they can throw them in melee. But they don't... doesn't look like they have the ability to throw all of their grenades like they used to. That used to be the wombo combo with the Adelan Shackles, that they could throw all their demolition charges at once, but not anymore. Which would certainly get through armor for sure. Yeah, no charges. No max charges here. No Grenadier strat, which is unfortunate. All right, did anybody link the Tyranid EDH deck? I want to talk about some Magic cards now. I have an Amazon listing, and then I close the window like an idiot. You can max one charge, but not throw more than one. Yeah. That makes sense. Here's an article on Star City Games. Is that good enough? Is that what we want to talk about? This is about all of the commander cards. I do appreciate that there's like multiple commanders per deck, it seems like, which is cool. Or at least multiple legendaries. So you can build multiple commander decks out of them, which is pretty exciting. I also appreciate that the Silent King is like clearly not on his big throne, which is funny because that is not. Yeah, we've never seen. He's never gotten off his throne in a game of 40k that I've played. So he's this weedy little 3/4, despite the fact that that dude like crushes Swarmlord in a fight, right? Like, if his manias are there, he just like shoots him for half his health and then just murders him. But it is what it is. But the Silent King is the Silent King's ability is really cool. It mills you, so like when he attacks, he uncovers Necrons from like beneath the Tomb World because he mills stuff and puts it in your graveyard, and then pulls out artifact creatures, which I imagine all the Necrons will be, or vehicles, which hope maybe we got some Ghost Arcs and stuff in there that can go to your hand, which is super cool. Inquisitor Greyfax investigates by tapping other. She like interrogates other creatures by tapping them and then investigating, which is like super sweet. The flavor of these cards is like super on point. It's awesome. Swarmlord, every time he comes, so he's a commander, right? So the commanders, to my knowledge, when they die, they go to the command zone. Then you can play them again for an increased cost. And every time you do that, he comes in with better stats because he learns from his previous lives. Flavor on point again. Amazing. And then when your creatures with counter die, you draw cards. And then Lucia Kane is a GSE Magus, who's, I guess, in the same deck. And she, at the beginning of combat on your turn, can put counters on people. So if she's in play, you just start countering up your whole team, and you can like full send it and draw a bunch of cards when it dies, which is very Tyranid. First Tyrannic War is a Tyranid card. Is this all of the cards or just most of them? First Tyrannic War is a saga, so it ticks down. You play it, and the first ability happens. Then the start of your next turn, the next abilities happen. You put a card from your hand onto the battlefield. If the mana cost contains an X, it enters with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the number of lands you control. So you just get to cast a creature for free from your hand, and it maxes if it's an X creature, which it looks like Broodlords are. I wonder if they'll have some other X creatures in there. High Fleet Leviathan seeking tips on Silent King, like killing him. Silent King's an odd duck because whether or not you can kill him sort of depends on how your opponent plays. One tip I can give you, and it sounds really weird, right? But if your opponent's going to go aggro with TSK, don't shoot at him, or at least and don't do damage prior to the fight phase. If he's like up in the mix in the center of the table, because the more damage if you do 10 damage to him, both of his menhirs die. And what you want to do is leave one menhir as low as possible before you engage into him. And the reason for that is that his Fight Last aura only affects units in engagement range with himself. So one thing you can do, and this is super chicanerous, is if you're fast enough, so if you're Flying Hive Tyrant or you have Onslaught on Unique Advance, you can charge him and engage only his menhir. Then he can't Fight Last you. You get to attack first, you kill the menhir, and he's no longer in melee. So he doesn't get to swing back at you. And then you can get on out of there. And that's because he has to allocate damage to the menhirs first. He can't take the damage himself. And his Fight Last aura doesn't project over them. It requires your opponent to play super aggressively with the Silent King, so he kind of gives you the optimal charge path. And it requires your opponent to position the menhirs in a place where you can charge them. But as Tyranids, you're fast enough, or oftentimes you can get charges on them anyway. And then like from there, you can just use that to, even if you would charge them with multiple units and they all hit the menhir, and the first unit attacks the menhir and kills it, the second unit can consolidate into him, and because the fight phase has already begun, they won't get hit with a Fight Last, and they get to fight him anyway. And then, so like it's like a 1-2 punch where you can kind of like use the menhir to do a bunch of damage to Silent King himself. And then if you don't need to do any more damage or you can't kill him that turn, you can run away or you can just continue to pile in. That's the secret technology for beating the Silent King, which is it's pretty silly. But the other thing to do is like literally just ignore him and let him like wander around the table. Don't give him stuff to shoot at if you don't need to. And if he doesn't come into you to fight, like he does a bunch of damage, but especially if you're on Leviathan and you have like invuln saves active and stuff, he doesn't do tons of damage. He's just very annoying. And if you kill the rest of his army, then he can't win by himself. Especially if they're in Obsec Dynasty, then he himself isn't objective secured. So like you just steal objectives away from him all the time, which is really annoying for him. Poor guy. So Silent King, knowing the Silent King matchup right now is like really important because Tyranids or Necrons is like, if you're playing in a tournament, you probably like a coin flip to hit Necrons every round. They're just so popular currently. I think at the GT I streamed over the weekend, there were, it was like a 30-player GT and there were like 7 Necron players or something wild. It was insane. It was like 20 to 25% Necron players. Goldfish has it. It said MTG Goldfish, right? Warhammer 40k. Card previews. Oh, look at them all, chats! Look at you, MTG Goldfish. You're so cool. Let's go. Winged Hive Tyrant. Hell yeah, dude. Recently previewed cards. Yeah, Harry Dan, dude. They got Harry Dan, bro. Amazing. Good stuff. Get that resize. Oh, yeah, dude. Yes. Amazing. Let's talk about some frickin' cards. The Nexos we were just talking about. Basic lands you control. Can tap for 2 colorless. Spend this mana only on cost that contain X. So we got a lot of X creatures, I guess, in this deck. It's a token theme, right? So it makes sense. Winged Hive Tyrant, 4/4 flying haste for 5. Hot damn. Other creatures you control with counters on them have flying and haste? Oh, we're doing a slivers thing, right? So slivers are a creature it's very much a Tyranid theme. They're like sort of an insectoid creature type in MTG, and they're all telepathic, and they all give each other their own abilities. So if you have a bunch of different slivers on the table, they have all of the abilities of every sliver you have. And it sounds like if we have a bunch of abilities like that, it could be very similar. The Biophagus. So the GSC, it looks like tap for they sort of support the Tyranid creatures is what it's looking like, because they all have tap to add mana stuff. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. If it's spent to cast a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Love it. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous little Llanowar elf right there. What a guy. Is it multiplayer only with the new commander deck? That's a good question. The format legality is something that's a little bit hazy to me. I know commander itself is generally multiplayer, but you can play it one-on-one, which is called Brawl. Some MTG player is going to come in the comment section and get... Oh, looks like OBS, or my internet just hiccuped chat. I apologize for that. What would it... MTG 40k format legality? Universes Beyond is to be legal in eternal formats. Okay, chat. So... It sounds like modern... Or it sounds like they'll be legal in Legacy. I think is that that's what it looks like it's going to be. It will not be in the normal MTG rotation. It's not in standard, no chat. It's a commander product, so it's mostly for casual play, but it's legal in formats that don't rotate. So just Legacy, I think. EDH, Legacy, and Vintage, yeah. Cool, good stuff. But I think it's mostly going to be EDH, which is fine. And to be honest, I've most of my interaction with MTG has been in standard online. I've never played Commander, but I imagine that I would only be playing. Like I think it sounds like some locals and I are going to jump in and just play some Commander games with the decks because it's fun. And I don't know if I would really interact with it other than that, to be fair, as someone who is not an MTG player, just buying the 40k decks to buy 40k stuff. 1v1 Commander is called French Commander. All right, it's weird, but sure. Why is it French Commander? I'm sure there's a story behind that. The cards will not be on Arena. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. They'll probably be on MTGO, but I doubt they'll be on Arena. Arena doesn't do Commander, right? So, Genestealer Patriarch puts infection counters on target creatures, and then makes a copy of them as Tyranid creatures. That's adorable. Genestealer Patriarch. What a cool guy. That's a super cool. I guess that's a blue ability, right? You're stealing people's creatures. That's really interesting. Harry Dan. Harry Dan, what's up, dude? Ward 4. So that's if you target him with a spell. If you try to nuke him, basically, you have to pay an additional 4 on your cost, if I remember correctly. He flies. Whenever Harridan or another Tyranid creature deals combat damage to a player, create a blue 1/1 Tyranid gargoyle creature token flying. It's weird to, if you like, I don't know, if you compare these two, this Winged Hive Tyrant is dramatically more powerful than Harry Dan, right? He's a 4. Harry Dan's a 4/4 flying for 6. The Winged Hive Tyrant's a 4/4 flying haste for 4.
Hey, what do you think is going to be the accomplice for love is going to be? I
this
am
guy
wanting
makes
to play them in tournaments and wanted to see your thoughts.
But anyway, can you just buy the Hive Mind cards? Yeah, it's a deck. It's a deck of 100 cards, and these are all the cards in it. Waggly Jack, thanks for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it, dude. What do I think is going to be the competitive list for Leagues of Votan? Want to play them in tournaments, wanted to see my thoughts. Speaking entirely out of my butthole, I think that you probably see a battalion, and it's probably like 3x10 of the infantry. What are they? Harlequin warriors with Magna Rail cannons and medics to regenerate the Magna Rail. So you can do like the Retributor thing where you just put the Magna Rail out, you shoot your gun, or you can take 2 heavy weapons. So maybe you put your 2 heavy weapon guys out, you shoot your gun, your opponent shoots back, that you just pull those guys, and then the medic repairs them. It feels like going to be the play pattern for those guys. I imagine you take one of each commander, so either a call or the character if you're in Greater Thurian League, a broker with the upgrade to ignore one attack on a vehicle and then repair really good. And then you stick him behind 2 land fortresses. You could, I imagine there'd be a list with 3, but I think 3, probably the third one, I bet gets like caught and doesn't do anything. I think you probably play 2. You fill them each with 10 berserks, and the rest of your list is like bikes and stuff. So it's probably like 30 Harlequin warriors, like 3 characters, 2 land fortresses, 20 berserks, and then like however many bikes fit in that. Probably like 12 or something. That would be my thoughts about League of Votan. That's the list. That would be the list I would try to play initially. Is it valid for Legacy or Vintage? Yes. From what I understand, all of the what is it called? Universes Unbound or whatever, Universes Beyond cards, which I imagine is indicated by this little triangle at the bottom. All of those cards are legal in Eternal formats, according to the article that I literally just read. So, no, I would take a wizard. I would take a wizard 2 chat. Sorry, that's what I meant by 1 of each HQ. So the broker, the call, and Grimnir, mostly for CP regen, because the CP regen, like the command points go super far in Votan. Their strats are insane. They're like off the charts. All right, what else we got in this deck here? So we talked about Harry Dan. Harry Dan's disappointing, chat. Like, he's a big dragon, right? You want a 6/6 for 6. Give me a Shivan dragon and makes fucking gargoyles, dude. I guess he's warded, which is like fine, but whatever. I'm sad about it. I'm sad about that Harry Dan there, chat. I'm a Harry Dan stan, and I want Harry Dan. Justice for Harry Dan. Keller Morph. I saw the Keller Morph previewed on Twitter earlier. Whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, the Keller Morph does 2 to that permanent or player. And I think he's legendary, so the intention is that you can also play him as a commander himself. And there's a bunch of ways. There's like Dual Shot, I think, is a card that's like deal 1 damage to 2 separate targets. And then those just become lightning strikes when you do that, when he shoots you with them, which is like kind of a sweet ability, right? He turns all your 1 damage into 3 damage. Which is a really powerful effect. But I don't know that much about Commander as a format, but I bet that 1 damage dealers are actually not that amazing. There are like sweepers, though, that are... there's like a red sweeper that's deal 1 damage to every creature on the battlefield, I think. And that just becomes deal 3. So I could see there being some wombo combos there. Ward 4 is massive in the game. Is there 1 mana removal that hits a 6-drop, though? I don't know that much about Eternal formats, to be fair. Grape Shot. That's what... Oh, yeah. Grape Shot's the Storm spell. That makes total sense. So Storm is you stack another copy of the spell on top of it for every other thing that you've cast that turn. So the whole wombo combo is that you play out a bunch of cheap spells that like replace themselves in your hand. And then you can end it with a card that does damage. So in that situation, you would play a bunch of cards that say like, do a thing, draw a card for 1. And you stack those on top of each other so that your number of spells played is very high. Then you play a Storm spell that copies itself for each one of those other things you cast. So you do a 1 damage. If you have a 1 damage Storm spell, it becomes 3 damage because the Keller Morph shoots it for 2, shoots everything that gets hit by it for another 2. Are the Berserks good? Yeah, I think they're mostly good because the rest of the faction isn't amazing in melee. I think that from what I've heard anyway, the consensus is that it's not that they're amazing, it's that they're good enough to follow up the amazing shooting. So like your land fortresses trundle up the table, right? You have Hearthkin, you have Pioneers to keep your opponent like hemmed in steal their objectives. The land fortresses move to the center of the table and you start like ticking up 12-point primary turns. If your opponent comes in and commits to kill the land fortresses, the Berserks just get to fight them and trade. And they're probably shot enough to pieces by the Pioneers and the land fortresses by that point that the Berserks are good enough to kill them. So I think it's not, I don't know if I would put Berserks just on the table, like wandering around. I would put them in transports if I had them. But if you do, once they get there, they're fine. Like, they're good enough in melee that they get there. I think they have a 1 CP reroll hit roll strat too, which is really solid. Hormagant Horde. So we got an X spell. It enters the battlefield with X, +1/+1 counters on it. If X is 5 or more, draw a card. It looks like my internet might hiccup again here, chats. Hope that doesn't happen. If I cross my fingers aggressively. And then every time a land enters the battlefield under your control, play a 3. If you return it from the graveyard to your hand. Whoa! That's super cool. So there was an old piece of a super old school piece of lore that Hormagaunts were seeded on planets ahead of the High Fleets, and then they would like gestate and lay eggs, and they would sort of become like an orc kind of infestation where they would like sort of constantly be attacking the people on the planet, so that when the High Fleet came in, everything was all fucked up already, and that captures that flavor really nicely. That's a super sick card, man. I love MTG design. It's like so cool. Yeah. The flavor is like off the charts. I don't really understand what the Toxicron's doing, right? So Toxicron's like, hey, what's up, dudes? I give you -1 to hit, but also I make your lands tap for 1 mana of any color, or all lands, I say. So it messes up everyone else's land synergies, but also fixes all their mana. So I don't really know why the Toxicron's doing that, but I guess he makes all the lands into Tyranid lands or whatever. It also has reach, which I thought was really interesting, because it does have big tentacles, right? And from an MTG perspective, like, that is reach. But it's not like this thing reaches aircraft, right, in the 40k universe. Like, it doesn't pull planes out of the air. He'll, like, grab a bird, but he won't grab a plane. That one's kind of funny. Is that all the cards, chat? It can't be all the cards. There must be more cards. Oh, yeah, there is more cards. Okay, cool. So these are the cards we've already seen. Blood for the Blood God was spoiled ages ago. Abaddon was spoiled ages ago. Bellicor we were talking about over the weekend. Emotech the Stormlord. Whenever artifact cards leave your graveyard, so some synergy with Silent King there. So Silent King mills you and then puts graveyard cards from your graveyard into your hand, and every time you do that, if Emotech the Stormlord's on the battlefield, you get some Necron warriors. He uncovers some freaking warriors for you every time. And then beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature gets +2/+2 and menace. Hot damn. That's sweet. Marnius Calgar is like super good, right? Anytime tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card, and he pays 6 to get 2 tokens. So he's like, pay 6, make 2 2/2s, draw 2 cards. It's pretty good value. It's pretty solid value right there. That's what that is. What does the precon cost? That I don't know. I'm sure that it's on this Amazon here. Looks like the precon on this Amazon page is $55, which is kind of a lot, I guess, right? But whatever. It's like a one-off. I'd pay $50 to get a card that says Harry Dan on it. You know, I don't know. I think it's probably funny because, like, from an MTG standpoint, I think that cost is really high because most Commander products are like $20, $25, right? Like MTB tends to be, especially for pre-cons, tends to be kind of cheap. But comparing it to like a 40k thing, it's it's like nothing. Like that's the cost of like one character model. Whatever, who cares? Turns out 40k is like wildly overcosted. We talked about Swarmlord Abundance. If you would draw a card, you can instead choose land or non-land and reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put it into your hand. Put all other cards revealed this way into the bottom of your library. So he just fetches he fixes your draw a little bit. Oh, this is an enchantment. It happens every time. Oh, sick. No, that's amazing, actually. So you never flood after that enchantment's out because you can just pick non-land and then continue to draw non-land cards. Whatever your top non-land card is what you get. That enchantment's really strong. Damn. It's for CMC, though, which is a lot. The Broodlord is an X. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. If it's 5 or more, draw a card. Love it. Amazing. Death Leaper. Oh, he also buffs every other creature in the battlefield. Damn. Okay. Wow. Holy crap. So he is. I guess he's a 4/4 for 5 that gives a +1/+1 somewhere else at the base level if X is 1. But you can make him an 8/8 that gives +5/+5 and draws you a card. if you have enough Nexoses out, I guess. Or it's going to be one Nexos because it's a singleton format. You know, everybody only gets one of these. Death Leaper is legendary. Flash, haste. Creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn have double strike. Whoa! So he double strikes himself when he comes out, but then also if you like come out on the same turn as like the Winged Type Tyrant, the Winged Type Tyrant can make a bunch of stuff come out that is all flying and haste, and you just kill somebody. Death Leaper is just like a murder combat there. Or like a combo finisher, I guess. Because if you just attack with Death Leaper, then the opponent is just dead. Hardened Scales, you get +1/+1/+1 counters. That's core to a Legacy deck, right? Hardened Scales Affinity. Old One Eye, everybody's favorite. Everyone's favorite garbage fire unit from the tabletop. Gets to be a 6/6 for 6. With Trample, gives everyone else Trample. When he enters the battlefield, can create a 5/5. He makes little Carnifex with him. Holy shit. At the beginning of your pre-combat maze phase, discard 2 cards. If you do, return him from the graveyard to your hand. This card is wild. What? He's a 5/5 and a 6/6 for 6 that like regens basically. Oh my god. That's crazy. We talked about first Titanic War. This is all old stuff. That was spoiled. Looks like Doc Leo is sending me a card list. I don't know how you get there though. Oh, it's just the deck list. Oh, look at these tokens. Oh, they're so cute. I love these. These are adorable little termagants. Aw, look at them. Oh, cool. And then they flip to be the other ones. Tyranid Warrior, 3/3. Ah, yes. 3 attack. 3 attacks, 3 wounds. It's a 3/3. I love it. That's good. It's weird that Tyranid Warriors get their own token, right? But Carnifexes are just 5/5 Tyranid. That is what Carnifexes are. You don't get to be unique Carnifexes. You're just a 5/5 Tyranid man. Okay, cool. Most of this, I'm sure there's some existing stuff in here. Oh, we can click on them. Can't click on these though. Okay. Do these have? Are these unique art, or is this what they look like? No, they're not sets and marked. So they'll have new art, I imagine. It's a bear, yeah. Well, I guess bear's 2/2, right? A grizzly bear. So a Tyranid Warrior is like way better than a bear, which makes sense. I mean, that thing's like 2 stories tall. So I would hope it would be more than a regular grizzly bear. So this is a bunch of the sorceries are all mostly just land fixing, right? They have a destroy target artifact. Love it. Starstorm. Deal X damage to each creature. So it's a sweeper. It's an X sweeper though, so you can pay it with Nexos. Return all attacking creatures to their own hands. So they have it's like a fog. Okay. Inspiring Call. +1/+1. Or draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1. They gain indestructible. Okay, that's a 6 spell. So it's awesome, actually. Harrow is destroy a land, search for 2 basic lands. The Soul Ring is a 2 colorless steely. Do you think that... Here's a question, right? So this is like a... Well, I guess it's just Harold's horn. I, for some reason, read this as like the name of someone named Harold, and it was his horn. But it's the horn of someone who is a herald. It's like a job description. I guess it was because it was capitalized in the description. Sort of threw me off. Abundance we saw. Hardened Scales we saw. Death's Presence. Whenever a creature you control dies, put X +1/+1 counters where X is the power of the creature that died. That's very expensive. Bred for the Hunt. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it deals combat damage, draw a card. Love it. So all these flyers, right? All these flyers that get +1/+1s on them, you can start to trigger them off into additional cards, which is sweet. Oh, what's the link, chat? Yeah, I'll copy it over from Mr. Leo. Jonathan, thank you for scrounging that up. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm sure all these will get spoiled at some point. Maybe I'll do a... I don't know if I'll do a video on them. I don't know if people would watch that, but it is cool to see them. I like all of the different like artifact art is themed to each deck. So like Soul Ring is the Icon Words banner for Tyranids. It's like a monolith for Necrons. It's whatever this fucking thing is from Imperium, like a servo skull, I guess. It's like this big, kind of looks like a Noctilith crown for Chaos. Arcane Signet. Don't know what it is for Tyranids. Or is this the Tyranid one? Oh no, this is the Tyranid one. What is that? No, that must be the Chaos one, right? Well, I guess it's like, I don't know, he's like mutating or something. That one's a little bit hard to parse. I'm not really sure what that art's supposed to be. That looks chaosy though, right? Like, am I wrong? This is the Necron one. It's like the Scarab's repairing a Necron warrior. That's cute. It's an inquisitorial symbol for Imperium. Cool stuff. All of the reprints will have unique art that's Tyranid related. Cards on the right are brand new cards that have yet to be added to the database. Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of which we get to see here. So here's the question. So for people in chat who do play EDH often, do you think that these cards will get played outside of just like people playing around with the Tyranid stuff? It seems like the scuttlebutt is that a lot of people are going to be playing some of the spoiled cards like quite a bit, which will be cool. It'll be kind of fun to get 40k like splashed in there. Big maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've never played EDH before, so I have like no idea what the power level is. So I'm like, I'm not 100% up on the rules, and I don't know what decks tend to look like, so I don't know if these look like they're gonna see play. Oh, are these new? Is there a bunch of stuff get added that we just didn't see? Oh, this is just updated, chat. There's like tons more cards now. Tyranid Invasion. Create a number of 3/3 green Tyranid warrior creature tokens with trample equal to the number of opponents you have. Fuck yeah. Tyranid Prime. Other creatures you control have evolve. So they can come in with +1/+1 counters. Tyrant Guard. Sacrifice a Tyrant Guard. Creatures you control with counters on them can hexproof and indestructible. Fuck yeah, dude. That's instant speed there, bro. Venom Throat. Flying Death Touch. Hexproof. Hexproof. Okay. Well, that's just a solid creature card. This feels like a... This is like a draft card. It's kind of funny in this one. Yeah, there's the update. Yeah, I meant if you can play, I don't know how MTG does like alternate art, right? If the card is an alternate art, can you play it in a format where the base card is legal? I imagine so. Zoanthrope in here. Warp Blast. When it enters the battlefield, deal X damage to any target. Oh, fuck, yeah. So it's 2 mana, 0/0 for flying, ward 2, but you can pay to make it bigger, and then it shoots you for more. I love the theme of this, because it's like, you're not summoning individual monsters, right? It's not like one creature. You're summoning like units of them, right? So like it's totally on point where like on the tabletop, Zoanthropes get a bonus to cast and damage for every model in the unit. And in the game, in MTG, right, it's 2 CP to bring the Zoanthrope Brood in, or 2 CP, idiot, 2 CMC to bring the Zoanthrope Brood in. But then you have to pay 1 additional for each Zoanthrope in the unit, which adds +1 to its power and toughness and deals an additional damage when it comes in with the laser beam. Like that's so on point, dude. So good. Very cool. Bone Sabers. Whenever equipped creature attacks, put 4 +1/+1 counter tokens on it. Okay. And that's equipment. So once you kill the creature, the tokens go away, but the equipment sticks around. You can put on somebody else. I like the idea that it's like... it's weird that those wouldn't be enchantments, right? Because it's like, it's grafted to your hands. I guess the idea is that it thematically attaches to Swarmlord, right? And Swarmlord gets to come back. So you'd be like, I will pay more to put Swarmlord back on the table and then attach Bone Sabers to him in the late game. But you're definitely going to put Bone Sabers on a fucking unit of Tormagons. Genestealer Locus. Whenever a creature attacks you, it gets -1/-0 until the end of the turn. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +1/+1. Oh, that's cool. It's any creature attacking any opponent. So as long as it doesn't attack you, you give everyone +1 toughness. So the theme is perfect, right? So like Genestealer cults are like they pop up on the planet, they try to sow chaos. So this dude is encouraging your opponents to attack each other, so that like once your Tyranid horde gets powerful enough, it gets to sweep away everybody. Like, this flavor is so good. MTG designers are, like, so good at their job. Imagine playing a game with a designer that actually knows what the fuck they're doing. Wouldn't that be amazing? Acolyte Hybrid. Whenever the hybrid attacks, destroy 1 target artifact. Its controller draws a card. It's, like, probably targeted artifact removal. Aberrant or Ravenous. You get they hit people with their hammers and break their enchantments. Adorable. Clamavus. Each creature you control gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on it. Whoa! They double the effect of your +1/+1 counters. Oh my god. Shadow in the Warp. That's cool art right there. He's trying to do a psychic power, but there's a big Tyranid. He's like, he just senses a big Tyranid high fleet. He's like, fuck. First creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less. When their opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, deals 2 damage to them. Take an additional point on your Perils of the Warp, idiot. Got him. Realistically, this should be like a blue and then make everything cost extra, but that's probably too silly in multiplayer formats, I bet. There's no Neurothrope? That's okay. Neurothrope, I imagine, like, you only get, you know, whatever, like 60 cards to play with. And you gotta, like, you already got Zoanthropes in there, right? Like, you can't do both. It's a little bit too much. Adelan Jackals. They have Skilled Outriders. We were just talking about it. They have Trample Haste. Amazing. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land. That's cool. They like Scout Move. Amazing. Goliath Truck. Whenever it attacks, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target attacking creature. Oh, but it's a vehicle, so you have to put people in it. I like that you can crew the vehicles with anything, right? So like that's always funny because you can crew them with like gargoyles or whatever. Exocrine is an X/2/1 red. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each player and each other creature. Wait, the Exocrine just like board wipes? I wish that's what they did on the tabletop chat. Despicable. They're over here. MTG Exocrines are killing every creature on the board, and in frickin' tabletop they went up 30 points for no reason. God damn it. Gargoyle. Maybe that's why they went up 30. Oh, I get it now. I get it. GW had to nerf Exocrines because they were too strong in Magic the Gathering during playtesting. That was why. That was why. Gargoyle Flock. Beginning of each of your end step, if a creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 1/1 blue Tyranid Gargoyle creature token. Flying, love it. Haru Specs. Rapacious Hunger. Whenever another creature dies, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And then you can spend those +1/+1 counters to add mana. That's adorable. Hierophant Biotitan. Love it. 10 and 2 green for a 12/12. Vigilance, Reach, Ward 2 is an additional cost to remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature removed this way because it fucking eats them. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Why doesn't he have Trample? Why doesn't it have Trample? That's weird. I guess it's a 12/12, right? It'd be like too strong. Because he just does a bunch of damage over. But that's sweet, though. I love that. You can do it in like post-combat main phase, and then you can attack with. You have like a creature, like a big horde that's like stacked up with a billion power, with a billion +1/+1 counters. Like you just got Bone Sabers out on somebody, and he got a million +1/+1 counters, and then like swung in for a ton, and then you just get to remove all the +1/+1 counters post-combat, and then you pay like 2 for this guy. That's cool. Because Hierophant can be movement blocked in the tabletop. But he flies. He literally flies. Yeah, I guess that's true, though, chat. Yeah. He tramples with Old One-Eye, yeah. Lictor creates a 3/3 green Tyranid warrior creature token with trample. Oh, that's kind of fun, though. But only if a creature entered the battlefield under an opponent's control this turn. So he needs to, like, spring up on people during their own turn. That's kind of cute. The Malanthrope makes an appearance. Wild. Not a card I expected to see. Exile somebody's graveyard. Puts a +1/+1 counter on a Malanthrope for each creature exiled this way because he eats them and he learns all other abilities. Moloch. He fights someone. And then exiles them if he kills them because he eats them. Amazing. A Screamer Killer got one. There's no like regular Carnifex card, right? There's like all the special Carnifexes. Wild. He's a 5/5 with Trample. Whenever you cast a creature spell with a mana value of 5 or greater, he deals 5 damage. Here's a question, chat. If the X, I imagine, ticks up right as you spend for it. So if I spent like a 4 and a 1 green on a Termagant Swarm, it would be a 5 mana value creature spell, right? So then that would trigger the Screamer Killer. That ability's kind of nuts, though. But I guess he has to survive a turn, right? Because you have to put him down, and then you can cast stuff the next turn. Where's Thornbacks? It's true, chat. Whatever. Thornbacks suck. We don't need them. Get them out of here. Screamer Killers all the way, bro. Red Terror, mono red. Makes sense. Whenever a red source you control deals damage to one or more permanents, put a +1/+1 counter on the Red Terror. Okay. I guess, are Raveners red? Is there a Ravener? We'll never know. Oh, they're literally beneath it. Well, how come the Red Terror is red, right? And benefits red creature colors, but Raveners are blue-green. So Raveners and the Red Terror, the unit, the character who like gives +1 to hit to Raveners, have no synergy. I want my money back, chat. Everything's ruined. The theme was good on every other card besides this one. Spore Assists are defenders. They can't attack. They can only block. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to X basic land cards. Put them on the battlefield and then shuffle. That's cute. But he does cost 2X. Yeah, it triggers off like the Screamer and the Exocrine, right? But whatever. It's just like weird, like score energy. The Turvagon. Whenever he deals dominant combat damage to a player, deal that many 1/1 green Tyranid creature tokens. That's the Termagants we saw earlier, the little tokens. And it tramples, so even if it gets blocked and does a little bit of damage, it still makes 1/1s. Pure Strength Genestealers. Get 2+1/+1 counters. Whenever it attacks, you remove a +1/+1 counter from it. If you do, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield. The Trigon Prime gets a +1/+1 counter on it and someone else attacking each time it attacked. The creature it picks can't be blocked. That's cool. So he carries somebody on its back. They can block the Trigon Prime, but they can't block whatever else he's carrying. I love that he can carry like a Harridan, though. Put anything in that hole, you know? Just shove them in there. And then we already saw all this stuff. Ah, cool, chats. That's sick. This product seems amazing. I'm going to buy a Tyranid deck when it comes out. I'm kind of psyched about it. Good stuff. All right, chat. Well, we've been going for ages, actually, because we've been talking about all of these super cool Magic cards. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks, everyone, for watching, by the way. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me while I talk about MTG. I know a bunch of people left as soon as I stopped talking about Genestealer Cult, but, you know, it is what it is. So we will drop things off there. I'm going to be live at, I believe I am on for 1 p.m. tomorrow over on the Twitch, so come hang out with me. I'm playing a game with Chaos Demons, so that should be fun. I'm very excited. And yeah, otherwise, as a reminder, check out the VODs from this past weekend of all of the GT games that I streamed if you so desire. I really appreciate it. If you haven't gone over to the replay channel, go check that out because I'm going to be posting some fun content over there this week, I think, just as I throw it up. And I have a bunch of games scheduled to release on there this week as well from old stream VODs. And keep it classy, folks, and stuff. So, yeah.